South Africa is standing at a tipping point. Power cuts almost every week, factories closing, towns running out of money, and even the ruling ANC fighting inside itself. The question everyone is asking is simple. Can President Cyril Ramaphosa still fix this? Or will South Africans choose a new direction when they vote in 2026? I want to unpack the facts, share how they affect daily life, and give you my own honest view. It began with one remark that shook the party. Ramaphosa admitted that some DA-run municipalities sometimes deliver better services than those run by the ANC. He even said the ANC could learn from what the DA is doing right. Senior ANC leaders were furious. Some asked openly if Ramaphosa should even finish his term. Younger members are calling for a renewal of leadership and even an age limit for top positions. To me, that single admission revealed two things. First, he knows many ANC municipalities are underperforming. Second, his own party is deeply split. When the people meant to back you are questioning whether you should stay, every big decision, from cabinet changes to economic reforms, slows down or stops. That's why promises drag on for years while communities see little change. While politics heat up in Pretoria, families in places like Vanderbijl Park, Newcastle and Gqeberha face a harsher crisis. Jobs are disappearing. Major retrenchments tell the story. Coca-Cola plans to cut about 680 jobs. Goodyear has shut its Carriega tire plant, affecting 900 families. Ford is retrenching around 470 workers. And steel giant ArcelorMittal wants to cut 4,000 jobs, nearly half its workforce in some areas. These numbers are more than statistics. When a factory closes, the cafe across the street loses customers. The taxi driver who carried workers earns less. Local schools see parents fall behind on fees. Municipalities collect less tax and can't maintain services. South Africa has just agreed on a new trade roadmap with the United States. That could help in the long run, but it will not replace lost jobs today. For a father or mother told this week to clear out their locker, a trade deal years away offers little comfort. In my view, if we don't create real, immediate opportunities, despair will grow and more skilled people will leave the country. It is not only big companies under strain. Local government is failing too. More than 250 municipalities across South Africa owe money to the Auditor General. Between March and July 2025, that debt rose from 1.35 billion rand to 1.83 billion rand. Many of these councils run unfunded budgets. They spend more than they collect. The result is failing services, water pipes that leak for months, roads full of potholes, rubbish that piles up on sidewalks. Think about Makanda or Mfuleni, where residents already endure regular water cuts and blocked sewage. As services break down, residents stop paying their rates. That cuts revenue even further and deepens the crisis. To me, this is one of the clearest signs of how weak our governance has become. Local government is supposed to be the closest to people. If it can't even collect rubbish or keep the water running, how can national government claim to have things under control? Every time I drive through a small Free State town with broken streetlights and dry taps, I see the cost of political drift. Corruption continues to drain the country's resources. The Department of Public Works recently blacklisted 40 contractors for corruption and non-performance, the largest cleanup in 20 years. But every blacklisted contractor leaves behind half-built roads, clinics without equipment, and housing projects that never open. Money that should build the nation simply disappears. Property owners face another threat. In Ekurhuleni, 34 hectares of land, worth about 30 million rand, were expropriated without compensation. Business group Sakaliga warns that confusion over property rights is already lowering property values and scaring off investors. Hast, from where I stand, corruption and unclear property rights feed on each other. Investors stay away, and ordinary families lose wealth. I believe this is one reason why the economy feels stuck even when there is money in the system. Every unbuilt clinic and every half-finished road is proof that corruption steals opportunity from the next generation. South Africa passed a new Expropriation Act in 2024 to modernize how land can be taken and how compensation is decided. But President Ramaphosa has not signed it into force. That leaves courts using an outdated 1975 act in big cases like the Driefontein expropriation. Lawyers call this a dangerous legal vacuum. Developers, farmers, and banks do not know which rules apply. Some projects are on hold. Investors hesitate. The entire property market slows because leadership failed to follow through. In my view, passing a law but not bringing it into effect is as good as doing nothing. It creates uncertainty that hurts everyone from small farmers to big developers. If we want investment and growth, we need clear rules that actually work. This hesitation also sends a message of weakness, that the government fears the political cost of enforcing its own reforms. South Africa is also being hit by forces far beyond its borders. Trade tensions between the United States and China push more Chinese goods into South Africa, threatening local factories and jobs. If China buys fewer South African minerals, our export income drops. That weakens the rand, drives inflation higher, and forces interest rates up. The chain reaction is simple. Weaker currency means higher prices for food, fuel, and everyday living. Experts warn that South Africa must carefully balance its partnerships, staying close to BRICS nations while keeping strong ties with Western investors. But reforms in electricity supply and railway logistics move slowly. Ordinary families cannot wait years for relief while global headwinds keep growing. I believe strong domestic leadership could cushion these global shocks. Without it, every crisis abroad hits South African households twice as hard, whether it's the price of bread or the cost of fuel. None of these problems began yesterday. For 15 years, business confidence has stayed negative, turning positive only 3 times since 2008. Meanwhile, South African companies are sitting on about 1.5 trillion rand in cash, roughly 20% of GDP. But they are not investing. They have the money and the skills, but they do not trust government policy. Low investment means fewer new factories, fewer jobs, and slower growth. It shows that the problem is not resources or talent. The problem is leadership and the policy environment. To me, this is the heart of the crisis. When people with capital prefer to leave their money idle rather than build a new factory, they are voting with their wallets. They are saying, "We do not trust the system to stay stable or fair." That is a warning no country can afford to ignore. South Africa stands at a tipping point. Jobs are disappearing. Towns are collapsing. Corruption keeps draining money. Property rights are unclear. And global shocks keep coming. After years of promises, trust in government is at a low. In 2026, every voter will decide whether to give Cyril Ramaphosa more time or choose new leadership to restore growth, confidence, and hope. My opinion is clear. We cannot afford to wait and hope that slow reforms will suddenly work. We need leadership that proves it can deliver, not just talk. What would help your family the most? Fixing electricity, fighting corruption, or creating jobs? Share your view in the comments. I read everyone,